What movie did you start watching then said, fuck this, I'm not finishing this? Going Overboard. Adam Sandler's first movie. It's amazing how it didn't end his career before it started. I only know the cover art, and it's amazing. Zombosaurus. I love B movies that are amusingly bad. Ghost Shark is a particular favorite, but Zombosaurus, bought for £2 from my local ASDAP, was so bad I couldn't finish it. Yes to Ghost Shark. I found it better than Sharknado. Just next level hilariously bad. Jiggly. I thought it might be comically bad, but no, it's just the moldy cardboard of movies. Made it through about 35 minutes before I realized that I was actively thinking about other things and tuning it out. So I turned it off. Mean Girls 2. I went to a Mean Girls bar trivia night once. At one point the host asked a question and everyone in the crowd stared at each other, confused that the question referenced characters we didn't even know. The host clarified, this question comes from Mean Girls 2. The entire bar booed incredibly loudly. Last year's Cats. I lasted 30 minutes, and then I immediately left the theater. Human faces on roaches creeped me the hell out, as did whatever else I saw in that time frame. I saw Cats in a packed theater and we all were laughing and making fun of the film. It was one of the best movie-going experiences I've had. Hearts and Armor. Corrected. I have absolutely no excuse other than I paid $1 in the Blockbuster bin for it and needed to win the worst movie contest with a bunch of friends on Fantasy Movie Friday. I won. I still win with it. I still haven't watched all of it. Note to anyone who attempts to watch it. Whenever the blonde heaves her bosoms, tosses her hair, and yells, "Let me fight him. I'll fight him. Take a drink and you'll be dead before the end of the film. So you'll be out of your misery anyway. FYI, you don't know bad cinema until the bad guys have the evil henchman in a sword and sorcery flick is wear a spangly rooster costume fight chicken style alongside the guy in a sequin top hat surrounded by knives and boaty on top of an ape suit. Yup, folks, it's that bad. And I own it on VHS. Hearts and Armor. Now I quite like this one, but there's no getting around the fact that it's a very strange piece of film. It's like somebody watched Excalibur and said, we need to do this, but with more of the weird mystical shit. The most recent Underworld movie, it was a lot more soap opera and general incoherence than anything beyond saving. I feel the same way about the Underworld movies as I do the Resident Evil series. I know by and large they are pretty garbage films, but I will watch any film in either series and unquestionably enjoy the shit out it. I'm kinda person who can totally appreciate a form over function film. Years back, I used to love the no effort parody movies like Epic Movie, Scary Movie, Superhero Movie, Meet the Spartans etc. until I watched Scary Movie 5. When 5 came out, I couldn't see it immediately at the time, so I forgot about it and rented it years later. When watching it, I realized none of the jokes were funny because they all relied on referencing and parodying the horror movies of that time which were no longer relevant. It was a slog, and I turned it off and returned it halfway through. Out of all of these I still maintain that Scary Movie 3 is funny, but that is largely down to Leslie Nielsen. Dragon Ball Evolution, a Serbian film. It is awesome how bad Dragon Ball Evolution was, that nobody says anything about Serbian film as long as it is next to it. This is the sort of public service announcement we need when we are quarantined. I'm about 10 years behind on my movie watching, so this has saved me hours and hours of misery. The Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly movie Holmes and Watson. In the screening I went to, thanks, Dad, I watched a whole group of 14-year-old boys hightail it out of there in the first 20 minutes, when the least discerning movie audience of all time up, and leave so soon, you know it'll be amazingly bad. 50 Shades of Grey. OMG yay, and there was such a hype about it. It was one of the worst things I have ever seen. Like a platform for bad and awkward acting. 50 Shades of Grey. I was out as soon as she walked into Christian's office and tripped over nothing. Course, you know, she is just so quirky and clumsy. I read the books, and honestly Anna is just an insufferable person. So whinny and lame. And the movies made her even more flat and lame. It's like they tried to just fast forward to all the sex parts with next to no plot. Not that they had much to start with, but I suppose I'm a masochist to shitty romance novels. I read all of them including the rewrite of the first book from Christian's point of view. They're incredibly shitty. 14/10 do not recommend. The Mummy 3. I love the Mummy series and Brendan Fraser is awesome, but my god, that was a hot pile of shit and the only movie I ever walked out of in a theater. I noped out as soon as I saw that they replaced Evie, like it was no big thing. She had been my favorite character. The Emoji Movie. It was almost a parody of every CGI kids movie. My son is autistic and gets super fixated on random things for periods of time. Ripping paper, compass directions, weather, power lines, etc. He watched the Emoji Movie on Netflix one day and became obsessed with drawing emojis. I had to watch this pile of garbage movie every day for like 3 months. Thank goodness he moved on eventually, lol. Inside. It's a Spanish slasher film about this woman who wants to steal a pregnant widow's fetus. I've watched so many Gorefest movies to boot, and for some reason this one just totally took it to the next level for me, and I couldn't handle it. I actually got quite close to the end and I just couldn't finish it. Edit. It's French, not Spanish. Thanks to those who pointed this out. Close bracket. I was hoping for a feel-good goofy movie and saw Downsizing while browsing Hulu. After reading the description, I assumed it'd be something like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and went for it. It was nothing like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. In fact, it's 2 bad movies combined in a single script. I envy people who have the ability to walk away from bad movies. I just gotta finish even when they're shit. Same. I gotta know what happened to these terrible characters that I don't care about. Every pornographic movie I ever started, I was interested, really interested, then suddenly I lost all interest. Battlefield Earth. Unwatchable, not even ironically funny. Edit. Honestly, some scenes, in isolation on YouTube, are really hilarious. Travolta's I was being trained to conquer galaxies line read is so bad in the movie has a lot of moments like this. But to sit down and watch this thing from beginning to end, woo, I'd rather be doing my taxes. Eragon the movie, Nuss said. It was actually that film that introduced me to the books. I watched it, thought it was okay, found out there were books and bought them. About a year later I decided to rewatch it, because I had fond memories. Wow, it was bad. I only got about halfway in before I quit. The Robin Hood movie from a year or so back. The bad guys have machine gun crossbows. It's fucking bizarre. Edit. So this comment got a bit more attention than I was expecting. For anyone that hasn't seen it and is curious, the first scene has Robin Hood in the Crusades where the Crusaders wear modern gear and flak jackets, and they hard around a bombed out city clearing houses with longbows half drawn at the shoulder, like they're spec ops dudes, but they get pinned down by an automatic ballista that's basically a machine gun nest, but it's okay, because they fire a flare arrow over it which calls in an airstrike from some nearby trebuchets. I didn't hate this as much as some of the people replying, but the whole thing was so goofy and stupid that I couldn't be bothered finishing it. Avatar: The Last Airbender. Zoolander 2. Yeah, I actually did finish it, but it was spectacularly bad. My mom recorded Tyler Perry's A Madea family funeral the other day, because that's just how bored she is. She doesn't even like Madea. I sat through the first 5 minutes before I couldn't take any more. A while later she finished it and told me, yep, Madea still sucks. I just wish the My List and Continue Watching sections actually appeared consistently. They go a while all the time, lost in the myriad weirdly specific genres Netflix has decided to make up that day. Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. Huge fan of the books, but couldn't make it half an hour into the movie. Literally walked out of the theater. After watching it, I just consoled myself watching the emails Rick Riordan sent to the movie's director, in which he politely rips the script a new one and proclaims, among other things, this script not only doesn't work as an adaptation, but as a movie in its own right, and predicts fans will leave the theater in droves. What a guy. Jurassic Shark. Got a Shark Movies DVD box as a joke birthday gift from my BF. Made her watch it all with me. Got through all of them, but Jurassic Shark was next level bad. Fun evening though. Edit. BF equals best friend. Sorry for the confusion guys. English is confusing. From my BF. Made her watch it all with me. Not relevant but this confuses me, haha. Funny I never do that. But yesterday evening I decided to try replicas on Amazon Prime. It had Keanu Reeves in it, so it can't be bad, right? Here is the first 20 minutes or so that will explain why on earth I had to change my habit of always finishing a movie and shut down this one. So I started watching this best neurosurgeon on earth trying to extract human mind and put it in a robot only to fail miserably several times. Last try the robot achieved speaking, and in matter of seconds, became insane and started to tear its face apart and destroy itself. So he takes his wife and 3 kids in vacation. Night/rain/thunder during the trip. Wife dies when a tree explodes her chest, so the car falls in a pond and everyone drowns except our best man Keanu. So what does he do? He calls his best buddy Kawalker to come and bring their mind scanning device without questioning. Kawalker obliges. They scan the brains of the whole dead family and bring the bodies at the lab where Kawalker is asked to get rid of the bodies, which he does cause he's a great friend. They then go to Keanu's house and best friend Kawalker happens to be top-notch cloning engineer, what a luck, and brings some pods so Keanu can clone his family and put back their memories inside the new bodies and no one will ever notice. Time to remember this is something that he has always failed to do in artificial bodies, but in cloned ones? Nope, neither. You thought it can't be worse? Hold my beer. Best friend only has 3 pods, while Keanu's family is a wife and 3 kids, so there is 4 people to bring back, and it takes 17 days to finish a clone. What could they do? Keanu, who is I repeat one of the smartest guy on earth, decides to put the names of his kids in a jar and pick one that won't be brought back. Just like that. Best friend asks him how he will deal with that. The family and relatives/friends, neighbors/school teachers/you name it will notice. And Keanu shows his full genius by explaining he will edit his family's scanned memories so no one remembers the dead kid as it never existed. And at this time, I said no and turned that off. I'm speechless. Cats, just don't waste your time. It's time you'll never get back, and you can be wasting your time on something more wasteful than watching that movie. About 75% of the movies that I start watching on Netflix, especially the ones that have multiple big name actors, but you've never heard of the movie. Into the Looking Glass. I'm normally a huge fan of Tim Burton's work, but I have legitimately sat down snacks full intent on watching it 3 times now, and I just can't get into it. Edit. I know he didn't direct this one, but we all know, whenever he's involved his style gets very heavily incorporated. If you are talking about Alice Through the Looking Glass, it's directed by James Bobin, only the first Alice was directed by Burton. A Wrinkle in Time. Trash. I really was looking forward to a wit. I had a rough time as a 5th grader in the 1980s, and it was the book that saved my soul as a kid. I saw myself as Meg. I read and reread it until I was an adult, so I was truly excited to see this movie with my BF and his kids. After I left the theater I was mad for weeks every time I thought of it. I didn't mind how it was cast, but the writers skipped over chapters of the book, practically made Oprah the star of the thing, and totally made everything up from whole cloth after Meghan Cal escaped Camazotz. It wasn't even the Cliff Notes version. It was like the kindergartner version after they saw the trailer once and tried to make the ending deep when they didn't earn it. Trash indeed. The Mummy, the Tom Cruise train wreck. The old school one with Brendan Fraser is awesome. The Mummy with Tom Cruise is based on the original Universal monster movie, and not a rehash of the Brendan Fraser movie, but you're right. For a studio trying to revive a property that really could take off again, and I was stoked for, they made a pile of crap. Death Note Netflix adaptation. I've never watched this, and never will. Death Note did not need to be turned into a live action movie. Edit. I forgot about the Japanese movies. I haven't seen those either, though they've got to be better than the Netflix disaster. Death Note didn't deserve to get mangled like that. Unfriended. Once I realized the whole thing was gonna be on a screen, I headed out of the theater. Watching it at home a year later, I managed to get through it. Works well through PC, laptop or tablet screen, as that's the medium it represents. Noah with Russell Crowe. Gave it about 10 minutes, then me and a Miss Us looked at each other. Maybe it'll get better. That maybe is doing a lot of work. We gave up when the twisted rock creatures just casually arrive and nobody bats an eyelid or even explains them. It might get better, but I'm 40-ish, so only have a few decades left and don't want to risk wasting the hours required to watch this again. My partner and I have a holiday house in rural Hungary. It's a quiet village, few street lights, next to no traffic. 1 January, it's my turn to fly out there for the weekend to check it's okay. I arrive and there's a foot of snow, but the house is all fine. Good. I put on the fire and settle in for the night. There's nothing much on the satellite TV, and I'm not in the mood to listen to music, so I riffle through the DVDs to see what I might watch. I find 28 days later, it turns out that watching a zombie film in front of a flickering fire in a dark village on your own with nothing stirring outside in the depths of winter is not that brilliant an idea. I lasted 30 minutes. I thoroughly love this movie, but in your scenario, I possibly would have needed to stop too. I didn't really watch the movie, but my sister wanted to watch the movie, Cats, and as soon as I saw the trailer, I went to cancel the tickets I bought online. X-Men, Dark Phoenix. I couldn't get past the 10-minute mark. Oh fuck, that movie came out. Tall Girl. About 60% of the movies that I start watching on Amazon Prime. Not gonna lie, I love the amount of 1/10 or 2/10 movies on Amazon. I've pretty much watched all the bad sci-fi moves on there.